right, for Pete's sake, I think we can get started. Hold on one second. Am I getting audio out? Everything sounds okay. Welcome to the show, everybody. How are you? Welcome. Glad you could be here. It's HAL Sparks Mega Worldwide, live from the LA studio as I put it together. And if my hands pass this light, it will overcompensate and turn me green for a minute, and the fuzziness is weird. All right, we'll figure that part of it out. It's not anything I can do anything about currently. It's just this little light over here that I had to put on the desk so that there was enough light to cut me out on the green screen. I should probably put it behind me so that it cuts me out a little. No? This is high-quality production value. This is traveling lights, ladies and gentlemen. I couldn't be prouder. Okay, that's good. All right, hold on. Maybe not. All right. Hi, welcome. Thanks for joining me today and helping me make it through, just like I help you make it through the craziness that is our current state of affairs. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you know this, but there are some fairly big geopolitical events going on right now, and thank God we have some high-value thinkers to walk us through this. I'm fucking with you. We got the same parade of dumbasses today that apparently think they know better than anybody who has any information, and most people who don't. I'm going to open up my chat on the iPad today just so that I can get to it easier. And bless you for joining me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. Support the show in any way you can, or not at all. If you want to just be a spoiler, you know, that's up to you. That's okay. I've had worse. And speaking of worse, by golly, here they are, ladies and gentlemen. It's Dinesh and Debbie. Now, I will say, Debbie has lost weight. It seems a little bit. I don't know. We don't get to keep track of her, but very often. But it does look like she has. Perhaps she's concerned about the speed with which she lost some weight. I don't know why. She looks great, but she apparently has stuffed her sweater full of tissue paper. I don't know what the fuck is happening here. Does anybody? What is this look called? That's what I want to know. I'm incredibly confused. Hold on. I'm gonna turn this down a touch. There you go. It's the light's a little shocking. There you go. Honest to God, I don't know what the hell. Can anybody else figure this out? Does anybody know what she's because doesn't it look at her sleeves and look at her blouse top. It looks like it's just stuffed with tissue. It's like she got one of those things where she blows her nose and then she puts it in her shirt just to tuck it away to keep it for later, and then it just got completely out of hand. I've never been so disappointed as he's double to simmer, people. And thank you, Evil Aggie and Sarvelis and Pauline and Momad and you for resubbing and all that kind of stuff. This little event list is relatively new to the show, and it will be here present to let everybody know how great everybody's doing. Look at that, Raphael. Thank you for the super chat. I should probably make that bigger so people can see this or whatever. And maybe if it should have more things in it, but I don't know what I did. All right, something else is wrong. There you go. We'll figure it out. Anyways, I'm curious because the title of this video is The Reconfiguration of the New World Order. So thank God someone has recognized that there was a New World Order, and apparently we're in round 3 of this situation. I don't know. But anyways, it's been we're rebuilding it from scratch. It's part of the infrastructure bill, I think. Part of Biden's infrastructure bill is to rebuild it. The New World Order was getting to be like an old shitty bridge in Ohio, and now they're fixing it. I did not get the notes today on that we're all wearing a sweater with a white shirt tucking out of the top. I'm sorry. I should have been on the Slack or the phone tree. Very exciting. So, yes, NWO for life. Here we go. Let's see if this works.
How the New World Order is being reconfigured.
All right. Apparently, they saw the title the same time I did.
And there appears to...
Boy, God, they're loud, too. Simmer down, you two. Bring this down a touch. Go back to here. All right.
an emerging alliance. We can see it between China and Russia. And there may be a third player here that we're forgetting about, and that is the radical Islamic regimes. And I can think specifically of two.
Qatar. No. Ilhan Omar's congressional office in the capital. No, that's not it. What could it be?
Iran and Turkey.
Oh, see, I was gonna go with Iran, but Turkey, you know, I didn't see that one. Maybe because they're at odds with Russia right now because they supplied drones to Ukraine, and it's screwing the pooch for the Russians right now. Maybe
now, all of this may seem a little bit abstract, a little bit theoretical. Like, is this
Yes, abstract, theoretical, but they've got notes. I've trusted. Debbie has color coordinated these things. They have printed out tweets that they can reference. She's grabbing each elbow in a trustworthy gesture. This is always a good sign of trust, right? But tell us why Turkey.
It's really materializing. Is there some place in the world where we can see it actually in effect? Yes. And as it turns out, there is.
Oh boy.
And that country is Venezuela.
Well, it's lucky that we have Debbie here, because Venezuela, according to Debbie, who's from Venezuela, sucks. And isn't it nice? How lucky for all of us that not only does all this new terrible stuff happen, but that it's like bottlenecking through someplace that Debbie knows personally that happens to suck.
Well, you know, as I've told you for many years, I've been very, very afraid of these alliances that are happening with these countries, with these superpower countries, and Venezuela.
Oh, no. Yeah.
And, you know, for obvious reasons,
sure.
I think geopolitically, if they have weapons and they put weapons in the hands of the Venezuelans or in Venezuela and act as on their own behalf, we are looking at short-range missiles coming from Venezuela.
How short? I mean, it's a long drive. I'm just saying. Are we talking like, are they going to have to mount them on the caravans? I just want to know which brown people to fear, Debbie. Please provide me with a list.
For sure.
Poetry,
only 1,300 miles separate Venezuela, Caracas, from Miami. So
Caracas, you say it like that, you're going to have to clean up after.
Oh, very, very short-range missiles is all that's needed, right?
Why'd you look at Dinesh when you said that? I'm sorry. I apologize. I should be taking the threat of Caracas very seriously, that the Chinese and the Russians and the Iranians are all going to line up and go, if only we could get missiles to Caracas.
So it's worried me, and it worries me even more that we don't talk about it.
Yeah, Dinesh, we don't talk about short-range missiles. Why won't you bring it up? Why do you leave the dinner table every time I bring up whenever I say short and range and missile in the same sentence? What is it? Do you not like it? Is my turkey dry?
and that we don't have I don't think we have a good grasp on what's really going on. So, you know, a couple of years, there's been a lot of instability with the Maduro regime, and they've been trying to oust him, and unsuccessfully. And of course, now that Biden is in control.
Well, obviously, if Trump was trying to oust him, all the more reason why, you know, Biden's going to want to, I guess, make him. Can we have a second VP?
That is not happening, Venezolanos. I hate to tell you, but you are not going to be a free country. So there was a news.
Well, of course not. I mean, we're trying to turn the United States into Venezuela. That's the whole purpose of Republicans calling for the nationalizing of our oil, isn't it? No?
Article a couple years ago that basically said that
during the Trump administration,
the United States was more concerned about China of the three countries. They didn't really specify Turkey as much, but of
it's weird that you would bring it up, Dinesh, but the rest of us,
China, Russia, Iran. They were more concerned about China.
Yeah.
And I really wasn't. Yeah. I was actually a little more concerned about Iran because
because it was closer to 9/11, and besides, all this sweater is made in China. So
heard of Venezuelan friends of mine talking about how they saw these trucks with Farsi on them, and
not trucks with Farsi on them. You sure it's just really bad? It's not really bad cursive.
Thought they were missiles, and of course that.
Hang on, what? Excuse me. Run that by me again, dum-dum. So you saw a truck with Farsi on it, and your immediate response was, hold on. They what now?
These trucks with Farsi on them. And they thought they were missiles, and of course that really scared me a little bit.
I think you were thinking
missiles or dates. It could have been rugs as well. It said the Persian Rug Company on the side of it, but that's what they'd want you to think.
more in terms of terrorism.
Yes, I was thinking more.
Yeah, I was thinking more in terms of terrorism. You see Farsi written on a truck. That's where you go, It's, how in the world am I supposed to look at a truck with like squiggly Middle Eastern writing on it and not think, Jesus Christ. It's if a truck shows up in front of your house and it says the McVeigh shipping and logistics, you're going to get nervous and start sniffing around for fertilizer.
In terms of that, yes.
And in terms of Iran's got an appetite for getting a nuclear weapon. Let's remember that the other two countries here, Russia and China, have a substantial arsenal of weapons. Interestingly, Russia the most.
Yes.
And
interestingly, it is interesting. Just in case any of you slept through the Cold War.
China second.
Yeah. So anyway.
Right. Venezuela's way down. Way beyond. Iran wants one, but who doesn't?
All three countries have sold weapons to Venezuela in the billions of dollars. And so Venezuela owes them a lot of money. So not only have they propped them up militarily, but they have given them money for oil refinement. They have given them money for...
Yes, they oil refinement. If you aren't aware, some oil comes out of the ground like swearing and spitting and smoking and not paying attention in class. So they have to send it to, elocution lessons and teach it to walk with a book on its head.
Infrastructure, because if some of you recall, they're all
oil is so crude. Oh, good Lord, flying doodle.
The grids in Venezuela were mossed over, and so they were having all these horrible blackouts. I know my aunt would often...
We called them moss outs.
WhatsApp me and say, hey, we don't have any Wi-Fi. I'm having to go over here to get Wi-Fi. Please help us.
Please help us. But with emojis, so even sadder.
You can do. How helpless, was I?
Yeah, when your mom doesn't have Wi-Fi and you're doing... Believe me, I'm with you, Debbie. I have done so much tech support for my mom, like while she's on the phone, while I'm trying to fix her computer, while I'm like, Mom, point the phone at okay, you turn the camera around so that now I'm just looking at your hand. I feel you.
Getting these messages from her, but so they have supposedly tried to help them with infrastructure. So all that to say that geopolitically, it's very smart of Russia, China, and Iran to do this, being so close to us.
Well, I also think it's fascinating how these countries, very different as they are historically, are able to get along.
It's weird. It's like it's like you look at the EU and UK and Canada and America and even to some degree like South Korea, Japan. Like, we can't get along at all, we have no trade. Our diplomats don't talk to each other. But man, Iran and China and Russia, they're just thick as thieves.
There's obviously some kind of a power sharing agreement.
The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
No. That's materially not true. Sometimes the enemy of your enemy is yet another enemy. They may hate him for a whole different reasons. It's not just because they're like, oh, you hate that guy? Yeah, me too. Why do you hate him? Well, I hate him because he ran over my dog and he shot a neighbor and yeah, he's a terrible person. Why do you hate him? Just because of his skin color. I thought the enemy of my enemy was No, I don't like you either. You're you're a racist. So I have a personal issue with this guy.
Right?
But you would think that now, having Venezuela, they would be jostling, and maybe they are a little bit, for who's really calling the shots in Venezuela. But it could very well be that they figured out a way to share the spoils, because you do have an oil.
Yeah, they could very well be. And I'm glad you guys worked this shit out before the show started, where you're just kind of speculating upon your own speculations. But the notes give you the illusion of having thought it through, so I appreciate that.
Which country in Venezuela? Look at this. I don't know if you've seen this, honey. It just came out. This is that the Biden administration is actually talking about, how they want
with PDVSA.
that they might have to, be pressured into stopping buying Russian oil. They don't want.
They don't want to. They might be pressured into doing it. What do you mean? The fact that we coordinated it with the UK and the EU and just did it?
They're actually subsidizing the war right now. The Biden administration is.
Oh, the Biden administration is? Oh, I see. So the Biden administration buys oil, is it? Is that how it works in America? I don't know. I've never been there before. Has anybody in the chat room ever been to America? Does the government buy oil and dole it out to Chevron and Exxon and BP and Shell? Is that how it works? I am so confused. I mean, is there a pamphlet I can maybe look at about how oil markets work?
I think they feel that if public pressure mounts and we have to stop buying from Russia, why don't we buy from Venezuela instead? Can you believe this?
Okay, Venezuela, I want to just make this clear. Russia owns Venezuela.
Right.
Oh, that's great. So Russia owns Venezuela, so they own your grandmother. So is she a hostage? And I should watch your show with the assumption that you are saying this under duress to save your grandma's life because she's owned by Russia. Blink once if you call him Demes because I started that.
Right.
Russia owns Venezuela. In fact, Venezuela cannot possibly pay back the debt that they owe Russia for oil. So
well, technically, you might argue that if they have an impossible debt to Russia, they have reason for the regime to fall and the economy there to collapse so that it kind of starts from scratch. Because if you broke up Russia in its current state into three new countries, kind of like the other smaller countries that broke up, it's sort of a Prussian bifurcation or something like that, then I guess the debt would be gone. Maybe has anybody, Debbie, call Venezuela.
Biden is dumb enough to think that he's somehow going around Putin and making deals with Maduro. You know what, Maduro?
Well, it's kind of like, here's Putin. He's sort of like a chess player, and he's watching this global board.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. He's a total chess player. It was it's very common. I don't know if you guys play chess. Dinesh is a master, but I'll try and dumb it down for you as best you can. Let's just say you're playing chess. And you're the white side because you want to be good. And the first move is yours. So you take all of your pawns and you throw them away. And then you take your knights and you push them towards the edge of the table so they get stuck off the board. So they kind of tip over and they get stuck on the side of the board in one of the squares they're not supposed to be. And then the next move is the black player will come over and hook his tractor up to your bishop and drag it away while you're not paying attention. It's next level chess. I couldn't possibly understand it. It's so smart.
And he's sort of and here's Biden. He's like playing checkers. He's like, I gotta make a move.
Exactly.
Exactly. What a dummy this guy is. I mean, honestly, you can tell Putin's a strategic genius by how well the Ukrainian invasion is going. I mean, it was all part of the plan for him to lose more soldiers in 9 days than America lost in Iraq, Afghanistan, and on 9/11 altogether.
Oh my goodness!
Right?
Oh my goodness!
He's really he's funneling.
Hun, like we were saying. This is so. Remember the last time we had company over, and they never came back.
Yeah.
Russia through Venezuela. And the State Department guys think that they're making genius moves. Let's kind of get around the Russians by going to Venezuela.
This is unbelievably dumb. So not only does Russia own Venezuela, but so does China and so does Iran.
Oh, so it's like a co-op. They've formed one of these workers' co-ops. Russia, China, and Iran own Venezuela. And so trying to buy oil from them, or that internationally people buying oil from them is, I don't understand what the fuck they're saying. I honestly, they have a timeshare. That's right. Yeah, they all take turns summering there.
Oh.
And by the way, they've talked about getting oil from Iran. They're talking about, let's relax sanctions. Now, what I think is going on is that the left-wingers...
Which, by the way, we've discussed this before. The Saudis and are really pissed at the prospect that at some point in the near future, relations might be normalized in any way with Iran. So they're nonstop trying to ratchet up tensions between Iran and Israel and Iran and the United States all the time, so that eventually their the sort of allied members of the Iranians' citizenry that are near these oil fields will eventually just take them.
The Biden administration want to restore Venezuela. They want to actually to prop up the Maduro regime. They want to prop up Iran, and they're using this Ukraine thing as an excuse.
Right? Yeah, that's what we want. So we're trying to. We've been trying to attack ourselves, but we're just not capable of doing it. So what we want to do is prop up Iran so they can take over Venezuela, so that Venezuela can take over us and nationalize our oil after we have. I don't know. I honestly don't know.
So the energy sector, this is according to the Center for Strategic and International Studies. The energy sector in the centerpiece of Caracas's relationship with the centerpiece of Caracas' relationship.
Babe, you missed a word that's crucial to the sentence, and
with the Kremlin, the centerpiece.
Yeah.
Okay. Back up, dum-dum. Run that by me again. I was too busy being exasperated by how stupid you're being to actually try to understand.
The centerpiece of Caracas's relationship with the centerpiece of Caracas' relationship with the Kremlin. The centerpiece.
Yeah. So we're seeing
the energy sector. You mean the primary export that Venezuela has, and by the way, the only export that it has of measure with Russia or any of its allied countries, because all the other stuff they make or do, or any of the food stuffs they have, are all kind of they're perishable. So getting them over there is a little bit rough.
I think on the global stage, a great unwinding, and it seems
that's good. I like that. Somebody get Q on the line. It's the great unwinding.
That the United States was losing its kind of unipolar status in the world, losing its footing. And I think with
the unipolar status we had with the oil we weren't getting from Venezuela,
this losing of footing has become a complete mudslide. We've just got this messed up guy in the White House. And as a result, we're seeing a rapid unwinding of American power. It's going to be very hard to put all this back.
First of all, no, and that's the end of the video, by the way. Put all what back? Oh, yeah, sorry. Magoo. Make America great over and over. We got to get back to as good as we were under Trump. Losing factories. Come on, a Carrier air conditioner plant that's not actually being built, or whatever the hell they were supposed to build there in Ohio that never happened. Why do we need 9 new chip factories in Arizona, or battery factories all over the place? Or why do we need to get lithium from the Salton Sea instead of getting it from Russia or China or Africa? Why would we need all that? That's it. That's the whole thing.
We've been talking.
Yeah. By the way, I feel like I know more about the New World Order and the reorganization of, don't you? Ladies and gentlemen, Dinesh and Debbie, The double D's of Dum Dum. So thanks for subscribing. Look at that. Like and subscribe. Give a thumbs up. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. Glad you could be here. Super fun. I'm in LA. I've got a show tonight at in North Hollywood, in NoHo, the ironically named section of Hollywood. At the Federal, 7:30. It's a fundraiser for the kindness of strangers. A coffee shop that I used to perform at in the 90s. It was one of the best open mics in town. And it's kind of old home week. So many of the guys I used to perform with and girls that performed there were all going to be, we're not guys and girls anymore. We're men and ladies. And sometimes both. And we'll be getting together tonight to do a show there. It's going to be very exciting. Please, if you're in the area, think about coming up there. It's going to be a good time. I mean, it might be your last chance to see a comedy show because we are going to die, apparently, according to Tucker Carlson. We are at war with Russia. Just period. I mean, come on. I mean, this is what they wanted. This is what they want to do. They want you to hate Putin. They've been telling you all these reasons. You've got no reason to hate him. He's a sweetheart, and his lap smells like cinnamon. And yet...
And welcome to Tucker Carlson tonight. Yesterday morning, Joe Biden's Secretary of State, a man called Tony Blinken, went on to the Sunday show over at
A man named Tony Blinken, but he's called Silver Fox. This could turn out to be a pivot point in history.
CBS News to announce a new policy toward Russia.
Oh, no.
Going forward,
What?
Blinken explained, the Biden administration will use Poland as a cutout to send fighter jets to the government of Ukraine.
Sorry, is that how they put it? We're going to use Poland as a cutout? They're a fucking NATO country. They have MiGs. The Ukrainians want them, but they want F-16s. So that's the trade-off. Maybe we will.
Those jets will be used to fight the Russian military.
Oh, no.
Blinken announced this in a calm, even tone that suggested this was conventional procedure, business as usual, nothing to worry about. Just another weekend at the State Department.
Yeah. Usually when we're at war, you can tell because the people in the State Department sweat and panic and shit themselves and scream. Since when? Why should we? Believe me, if you see anybody from the State Department come out and look calm, collected, that's a point for concern. It's a point of concern. They should be panicking and running around. But, Now I feel at home.
But in fact, it's not typical. It's a very big step. It could turn out to be a pivot point in history.
According to my Chiron, my lower third.
And for that reason, we want to show you the entire exchange. Here it is.
If, for instance, the Polish government, a NATO member, wants to send fighter jets, does that get a green light from the U.S., or are you afraid that that will escalate tension?
No, that gets a green light. In fact, we're talking with our Polish friends right now about what we might be able to do to backfill their needs if, in fact, they choose to provide these fighter jets to the Ukrainians.
Right.
What could we do? How can we help to make sure that they get something to backfill the planes that they're handing over to the Ukrainians?
Are you afraid that will escalate tension, asks the script reader, because even...
Oh, the script reader.
CBS News anchor knows that sending fighter jets to a war usually does that.
No, it doesn't. Because usually, dumb fuck, when we're talking about sending fighter jets, there's pilots in them. America's sending air support or we're sending fighter jets into a region means they include our pilots. And in the case of Poland, NATO pilots, but they fucking well don't. They're just the planes. And we've sent javelins. We're sending anti-aircraft missiles, like batteries of fucking artillery. The fuck is the difference? The Russians don't even control the airspace already. Yeah. Turkey gave them drones. The drones are hitting more of the tanks and transports than anything else. Usually that means it's ratcheting things up. Because usually there's people inside the airplanes.
No, replies Tony Blinken.
Because that's the proper answer. And you're a fucking moron.
It's a green light. It's a remarkable exchange. What are we watching here?
What?
Apart from a conversation between two incredibly shallow people who have limited contact with reality.
Projection.
What we're watching is the beginning of a war between the United States and Russia.
Oh, dear. Did the beginning of that happen when we started sending them javelins 6 years ago? Or when Trump tried to stop them getting javelins? Or...
If that sounds jarring, what else would you call it?
I would call it material, like munitions and supply. That's what I would call it. I mean, it's going to be Ukrainian pilots. It's just not people in them, just gear. I mean, at a certain point, then are bandages an escalation? Shit, they're sending bandages and sutures so they'll be able to stitch up their soldiers and send them back out to fight, and that might get one of our boys killed. This is an escalation. They're sending pie. These people will have full bellies and be able to enter the battlefield, again, reeking of apple.
I support everything that Tony Blinken just said. Maybe you do support it.
Uh-huh.
But let's not lie about what's happening.
Let's not lie about what's happening. This is another example of gear going in, but it's big, and it goes in the sky.
Be as honest and clear-eyed as we can be, especially now, because it matters.
Oh, I see. So normally being honest and clear-eyed doesn't matter? Welcome to Fox.
The Biden administration just inserted itself with force into the middle of a hot war between two foreign powers.
I don't know why, but that sounds dirty. Just inserted itself into a hot war between two hostile parties. Nasty. Tucker, I've been in this hut under the collar since I heard Matt Gaetz tell that story about you having dinner with him and some chick and some woman pretending to be your wife.
That means the United States is now an active participant in a war.
No, it doesn't. We don't have soldiers in there. We don't have pilots in those planes. We're giving them gear. Nothing has changed. You're a moron.
We are at war with Russia.
Okay. Do you get that? We are at war with Russia. And by we, he means the staff at Fox telling him to knock this shit off.
Whether or not that war has been officially declared, whether or not Congress has authorized that war.
Yeah, where's the AUMF for war with Russia? Get that to my desk, goddammit.
All of that is irrelevant.
It's irrelevant.
That war is happening right now as...
What? What? There's a war going on in Ukraine and it's happening right now? You told me it wouldn't.
Watch. Why is no one in Washington saying anything about this?
Yes, I don't know why. I don't know why. I think Anthony Blinken was in Washington when he said what he said about this in the clip you just fucking played. Why is nobody talking about this? You mean, why is everybody talking about this? What the fuck are you talking about? What is this?
Because they support it.
Is that why? Shh, guys. We're getting what we finally wanted. A hot war with a nuclear power. God. I can't. This is what we've wanted all along. Here I thought we were going to be building infrastructure over here, and now it's like, that'll be boring, fixing bridges. Who the fuck needs that? How can we distract from our fantastic jobs numbers? I know.
Have. Almost 5 years ago, way back in 2017, Congressman Eric Swalwell of California came on this show for another Russiagate debate, one of many. He came to let us know how Vladimir Putin had gotten Donald Trump elected president. It was all as stupid as you remember it. Until
I honestly don't remember it. I mean, I like Swalwell. He's a good dude. But even as much as I like him, it's not enough to make me watch your show, Tucker. Not until, it's my job now.
The end of the interview, when Swalwell said something odd and interesting. Swalwell explained that because Putin had installed Donald Trump secretly in the White House, the United States should now, quote, do everything we can to expand NATO's role. In other words, we should let Ukraine join NATO. That's odd.
Yeah, that's weird. Why would he even bring that up? I mean, besides the fact that during the campaign, Paul Manafort, who worked for Yanukovych, who was bleeding the country dry as a sock puppet for Russia and now lives under the protection of Russia and just went on television yesterday, I think last night, depending on time zone, and told Zelensky to lay down his arms and just let Russia roll over the country. That Manafort, who'd worked for that fucking guy, had, along with Trump, tried to insert into the RNC's platform a rescindance of offensive military aid for Ukraine. And then he just did that. And that had just happened. And so why would he bring that up out of nowhere? And then years later, Trump tries to do it again, even though Congress has already allocated funds and weaponry for Ukraine. He tries to delay it for as long as possible, as if Putin needed a little more time to get. Oh.
Why would he say that? Why would a
because Paul Manafort and Donald Trump tried to remove offensive aid, lethal aid for Ukraine against Russia from the RNC platform and change the entire approach of the Republican Party. I think that's probably why.
See, so seemingly obscure NATO, Ukraine, what?
What?
Why would that be a priority for some forgettable congressman from the East Bay?
Because he's not forgettable. You were interviewing him, and he was one of the people who is actually kind of in line for an expected run at the presidency. He ran last time. There's a very strong chance he'll run again.
Well, simple. Because getting Ukraine to join NATO was the key to inciting war with Russia. We didn't get it at the time.
Yes,
now it's obvious.
That's what we wanted. We needed Ukraine to join NATO to incite war with Russia. You know, we're just poking that bear. We're the little dog biting it, like Demes D'Souza said, or Jimmy Dore.
Vladimir Putin just invaded Ukraine because he didn't want Ukraine to join NATO.
Or in 2012 and 2013, huge oil and gas deposits were discovered in and around the Black Sea near Crimea and on Ukrainian territory, and he wanted a bunch of that. And he wants control over that country as a security buffer, but also because they are going to be richer and more prosperous a country than Russia in under 12 years.
Putin certainly had other motives as well. People always do have multiple.
Yeah, I mean, multiple motives. I mean, he likes the color blue. He likes blue and yellow in general, and it just draws his eye. And he had a lot of time to kill, while he was in quarantine. While he was locked in a paranoid bubble in his bunker. Same thing. And so he had, other reasons, like he was getting on Russian YouTube and going, actually, I kind of agree with that Hitler fellow. The Sudetenland was part of Germany.
But that's the main reason Russia invaded.
No, it is not. It is one of the main excuses why, but it's not their reason. Because Poland's on their border, and they're a NATO country. So is Latvia and Lithuania. Who gives a fuck? They didn't start getting squirrely about them joining NATO. They started getting squirrely about them joining the EU as a trade partner, because then it would cost more money to transit Ukraine with oil and gas because they'd have more money and they could afford to protect their land more. And China wants a big chunk of that area for that Belt and Road, and Russia doesn't want to pass with Putin in particular and his oligarch buddies don't want to pass up that kind of cash.
The Russians don't want American missiles on their border. They don't want a hostile.
Too bad. Too late. Asshole, they're already there. And Sweden and Finland are going to join. Attacking Ukraine caused that. Dude, missiles on their border isn't a problem. And again, they fucking signed an agreement in 1997 that said it was okay.
Government next door.
Yeah, like Poland.
Now, that's true, whether you're allowed to say it in public right now or not.
I don't think you are. I luckily, no one watches this show, so. I mean, I've heard that it's very popular, but I don't believe it.
Has been true for a long time. A lot has been written about this over many years.
Right. A lot was written a long time ago, like the conversation that they had in 1990 about Berlin when the USSR still fucking existed.
Serious people. No one who knows anything and is honest will tell you Putin invaded Ukraine simply because he is evil.
No, I wouldn't say evil is part of it. That's not the simple reason. He invaded because he's fucking dumb. mean, that's the long and short of it. He may have used to have been clever, but his paranoia and his his ego have gotten him out over his skis in a heavy fucking way.
Maybe evil. He certainly seems to be.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I've heard people talk about it. But what is evil, honestly? Is evil the Salisbury steak itself or the goo that it's laying in? Can you call it Salisbury steak if it's actually horse meat?
Also had strategic motives in doing that. Whether or not you agree with those motives, that's irrelevant. Those are the...
Yeah, it's not that I agree with them. I just think they are antithetical to actually accomplishing the goals he allegedly believes in, because what he has done by doing this is absolutely create a predicate where Ukraine and other countries have no choice but to join NATO at this point once Russia's driven out. Strategically, it was a massive fuck up. And I'm starting to think he has more in common with Donald Trump than we used to think.
So with those facts in mind, the Biden...
No, not facts. Your selective opinion about limited details about an extraordinary complex idea that you are intellectually incapable of processing.
Administration's behavior in the days before the Ukraine invasion tells you a lot about what motivated them. With Russian troops massed by the thousands on the Ukrainian border,
tens of thousands,
Joe Biden sent Kamala Harris, the least capable diplomat in Washington, to explain America's policy to European heads of state. At a public press event at the Munich Security Conference, Kamala Harris encouraged Ukraine to become a member of NATO. Quote, "I appreciate and admire President Zelensky's desire to join NATO." Message? Up yours, Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, that's what it was. Up yours.
Go ahead and invade Ukraine. And of course, Vladimir Putin...
I'm sure that was the whole quote, by the way.
...did that just days later.
Yes, it's weird that he was going to go home, and then Kamala came in and said, I appreciate they want to join NATO, because why wouldn't you, being in a situation where you can be surrounded on 3 fucking sides by a lunatic shock troops?
The invasion was no surprise to the Biden administration. They knew that would happen. That was the point of the exercise.
Yes, that's what it was. They sent Kamala in to instigate a hot war with Russia. This has always been the plan.
We watched all this happen. We missed it. How? Honestly,
some men just like to see the world burn. I went over to Joe Biden's house, and there I saw a child playing with a ruby the size of an ice cream cone.
Because it was insane, and therefore very hard to take seriously. Why in the world would the United States intentionally seek war with Russia?
We aren't. Why in the world would Russia, apropos of nothing, surround a fucking country that wasn't even in the process of joining NATO?
How could we possibly benefit from that war?
Yeah. How could we? I mean, honestly, why would we start a war unless there was something in it for us? You know, like all the other wars we've started.
We still don't know the answer to that question. But
yeah, you know that question I just asked? Yeah, where's the answer to that? Well, there isn't one. It's fucking dumb. Oh. Well, is that really a question?
It's obvious that permanent Washington has been fixated.
Permanent Washington. Deep state.
On war with Russia for a very long time. A couple of years ago, you may remember, we'd forgotten, they impeached a sitting president. Why? For threatening to withhold military aid to President Zelensky of Ukraine.
Right.
Failing to back a proxy war in Ukraine was the one thing Donald Trump was not allowed to do.
Well, Congress had already allocated those things. He had systems in place where he could have pushed back on that quote-unquote proxy war, right? He could have stated it openly, lobbied his party to vote against said arms. But they would have gone, fuck you, are you out of your goddamn mind? Putin is trying to claim a country full of innocent people for his own. He's a nutcase. Nah, he's a buddy of mine.
President. Again, they impeached him for it.
Yeah, because he was trying to get help with his campaign, his floundering, ultimately doomed campaign.
And no one said much about it. Even
no one No one said anything about it, except the entire time we were talking about that and why it was important.
Own party because, of course, they supported war with Russia, too.
Yeah, that's why. That we support war with Russia. We've been talking about it forever. I mean, ever since 92, when the USSR went away, I went, now we can really get to it. Now this is how we do it. Come on. War with Russia. Let's do this.
Even more than the Democrats did.
Yes, Republicans even more than the Democrats did. Like Lindsey Graham, who we normally would have on here all the time. But now he won't toe the line.
As far back as 2016, Lindsey Graham of South Carolina, hysterical little Lindsey.
By the way, 2 years after Russia had annexed, invaded and occupied Crimea and Donbass and was attempting to carve off more of the country and continued to bomb and shell the people of Ukraine while with their little green men and their Russian militia forces to try and seize more land and salami slice their way across the fucking country. And it's been going on the entire time.
Graham was jumping around, acting out his war fantasies in front of foreign soldiers in Ukraine. If we saw this tape at the time, we don't remember seeing it.
But we don't? What is this royal we shit, by the way? What do you mean, if we saw this tape at the time, we don't remember seeing it? Does this make sense? Does this way of speaking make sense to anyone? I'm serious. We have never seen something like this. And if we had, we would have remembered, but we don't. We don't remember these types of things. How would we even think about these things? I mean, it's unthinkable. At least we think so. Who are we?
Back in 2000.
We are the Tucker Collective. We are one. It's the Bowtie Borg.
16, Ukraine.
Doesn't wear his bow tie anymore, so but you get the point.
Seemed like a faraway place. We should have paid more attention. Here it is.
Thanks, Diana.
Your fight is our fight.
Oh, he was translating this whole thing or whatever. They were in the fucking region. They went down there and looked at where the Russians were sending in militia guys to kill Ukrainians, young and old, in that area. Like this is a direct reaction to this. And by the way, what he's saying here, fuck Lindsey Graham. He's a jingoistic dick, and he's trying to appear macho. And McCain's in the back going, I don't know. Let him have his time at the mic. Shit.
2017 will be the year of offense. All of us will go back to Washington and we will push the case against Russia.
Yeah, he's literally talking to soldiers after just hearing stories of Russia decimating that area and killing civilians en masse. For fuck's sake.
Enough of a Russian aggression. It is time for them to pay a heavier price.
Enough of Russian aggression. He's talking about specific stuff. Like, again, what did they say in here? What do you want? You want Russ to go to war with Russia?
It is our fight?
It's our fight? What? We don't care if people die. We're rich. We're the Swanson heir. We don't think about these things. We make $32 million a year furrowing our brow on Fox News. There's not actually an argument here. And occasionally we have to laugh. We have to laugh. And then we furrow again. Check, please.
Strange thing for an American lawmaker to say to a...
No, it isn't. As much as I'm against what Lindsey Graham is saying there, as far as how like bullshit macho it sounds, I would like to say for the record that I and everyone else watching this, we lack context on that video. And I would like to see the rest of the video where he's talking to these soldiers and they're going, they killed my mom. These fuckers are dropping bombs on us and no one is helping us. That's what he's responding to. Whether you think he goes too far or not, or whether it's like Lindsey Graham just being a macho dickhead, that's the point. Also, by the way, Lindsey is in, this is 2016. The idea is that what he's saying is that Obama's out, and next year Trump is going to kick some ass. Little did he know.
Military.
By the way, somebody's like, Hal, why does Biden fund Putin's war buying oil from Russia? Okay, Derek. Biden doesn't buy oil from Russia. Let me say that again. Biden does not, the U.S. government does not buy oil from Russia. Private companies do, or did until today. The Biden administration met with allies and the UK and arranged so that we as a group would stop buying it all at once instead of piecemeal, so it would form like fissures between allies. It takes coordination, thoughtfulness. This is serious shit. You don't go, fuck it out. You think about it, and you try to make arrangements for a date when you're going to do it. You just don't walk around yanking fucking rugs. That's silly. Biden is smart and actually gives a shit.
Why would the Ukrainian government's fight in 2016 possibly be our fight? On what?
Because Russian missiles would be on NATO's doorstep. If they they took over Ukraine, Ukraine would not be in the...
Rounds is it our fight? What does that even mean?
What does that even mean? Our fight? What? Just because Russia would salami slice their way across Ukraine, have total control of it, take the missiles that the nuclear missiles they used to have there out and put them back in? Why would we care? Thank you, Lisa.
No. And yet now it is demonstrably true. Ukraine's fight is our fight. Ukraine's war is our war. It's here, but most Americans did not see that coming.
Careful how you use that phrase. There's very little that Tucker does not see.
Yet permanent Washington certainly did. Permanent
Washington, a.k.a. the deep state, I just say permanent Washington.
Washington understood that the second Vladimir Putin's forces rolled across the border into Ukraine, we would inevitably be on a course toward war with Russia. They knew.
Well, yeah, so did he. And by the way, we're not inevitably on a course towards war. He's inevitably on a course towards war with Europe and our allies and destroying an independent sovereign country.
President of the August Council on Foreign Relations on the day of the invasion.
We need now a response of necessity to his war of choice. And there's got to be to raise the economic costs at home, to raise the military costs on the ground. I hate to be so blunt, but the most vulnerable thing that Putin's vulnerable to is dead Russian soldiers. So we have to make sure Ukraine has the means to resist.
Dead Russian soldiers. At the time, that seemed a little bellicose right out of the gate.
No, they're invading, fucko. And by the way, we have to make sure that the Ukrainians have the ammunition to resist. Maybe that's the problem he has with it.
Just happened. Maybe there's some way to de-escalate this. The invasion's terrible, but isn't America's role as steward of the West to make things better?
Yes. Better does not include acquiescing to bullshit demands from Vladimir Putin, who predicated his attack on a lie and intends on raping the entire country, you dolt.
Wouldn't a prompt Russian withdrawal from Ukraine be the wisest course for everyone, including...
Yes. But what will cause that, Tucker? What will precipitate said with prompt withdrawal? What could America and our allies do that would make someone like Vladimir Putin reconsider?
And especially the Ukrainians, on whose behalf we claim to speak, but whose country would be leveled by a protracted war? You would think so, but that's not what anyone in Washington wanted. They wanted a war, and now they have one.
They did? That's weird. Oh, yeah, they probably did want a war. They didn't assassinate Vladimir Putin in 1999 when he stepped in. Yeah, we should have seen this coming. I mean, the dude's KGB.
So where's this going? That's the question for the rest of us who had no role in making these decisions. Well,
we all had a role. Yeah, we all had a role. We voted for who's in office right now. You either voted for or against. You played a role. You either won that choice or you didn't. You've had multiple choices in the past. Tucker and his friends voted for Donald Trump for the last 4 years and started this ball rolling. And then once we got out of Afghanistan, basically Putin had to pull the trigger or he'd never get another chance.
Worrisome. You should keep in mind that the U.S. government is currently run by the same people who planned the Afghanistan withdrawal, the ones who
The Afghanistan withdrawal. Oh, you mean Trump?
tanked the U.S. dollar.
Sorry, that tanked the U.S. dollar? Huh? Wait a minute. Back the fuck up. What?
By the same people who planned the Afghanistan withdrawal, the ones who tanked the U.S. dollar.
Excuse me. Oh goodness. Why is my computer thinking about going to sleep? Uh-oh. Hang on one second.